Good morning. We begin our time together this morning in song with the song by Eleanor Fargion set to a Gaelic melody called Morning Has Broken. It will be familiar to most of you. Please make sure your microphone is muted so you can sing as energetically as you like as we welcome in this new day we've received. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Gwinnett. My name is Jan Taddeo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It is my great pleasure and a huge privilege to serve our faith as the minister of this congregation. So glad we can be together this morning. If you have a chalice at home to light in a few minutes when we do our chalice lighting, please make sure you have it ready as I offer these words of welcome. We arrive from many places and many life experiences as we gather in this cherished place to recall our true selves, reflect on the meaning of our lives, and explore questions of ultimacy together. If you are here for the first time or the 1,000th time, you are welcome here. If you believe in many gods, a god, a goddess, no gods, or you're just not sure, you are welcome here. If you are gay, straight, bisexual, asexual, pansexual, transgender, cisgender, still trying to figure it out, you are welcome here. If you're covered in tattoos or you're a blank canvas, you are welcome here. If you shout amen after every song or sentence, or if you prefer to sit quietly with us, you are welcome here. If you come here sober or addicted or somewhere on your healing path, you are welcome here. If you are grieving or if you are celebrating, you are welcome here. Your whole self, all that you are, all that you were, all that you long to be, is welcome here. And you are just where you should be, in a room full of caring and compassionate and thoughtful Unitarian Universalists ready to meet you where you are. If you are a newcomer this morning, we welcome you and hope you will find your spiritual home here with us. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We foster spiritual growth as we joyfully nurture connection and community within our walls and beyond. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to join us several times so that you can get the full flavor of this congregation and this faith tradition. And I hope that you'll join us in person when we are able to gather safely in our building again. Come, be curious, courageous, and compassionate with us. And now let's all take a big, deep breath and bring ourselves more fully into this precious time we have set aside in the week to be together. Bring every molecule of your being into this time, into this space. And as the sound of this bell vibrates through us and around us, feel those sound waves connecting us across the ether, connecting us with one another, with all of life on this planet, and with all the stars in the cosmos. Our call to worship this morning comes from the Soul Matters team. The Soul Matters team is an organization that provides a lot of resources for congregations for worship and religious exploration and small group ministries and all kinds of other very useful materials that we subscribe to. So this team put together these words of welcome called the Whisper of Our Souls. Come, let us listen with new ears. Do you hear it? That voice so familiar yet still far, less a longing and more a knowing, a whisper of something inside that seems to have known us longer than we've known it. Come, let us listen together. And now prepare to light your chalice with me. Our chalice lighting words come from Scott Taylor. What is it about this flame that opens our ears, that opens our hearts? Come back to your center, it calls. Return to that quiet space we long for and that longs for us. From this stillness, always a voice arises if we let it. So come, friends, let us listen once again. Let us find that flame inside that guides us back home. So this morning we're going to do something new. This is a pet blessing ritual that was adapted from one created by my colleague Tracy Sprouse Jinks. It's been modified for a virtual service. And a little bit of background of why we do this, and we're going to first engage in a remembrance of the animals. Today is the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi, perhaps one of the most well-known and popular Christian saints. St. Francis was known for his path of peace, openness, mysticism, poverty, reverence for nature, and love of animals. On this day, we are invited to spend quality time with an animal. It's also a time to remember and honor the animal companions in our lives who left our world and crossed the Rainbow Bridge this year. If you lost an animal companion since last October, I invite you to write their names in the chat box, and Russ will read them aloud.
Ralph. Pepper. The wee bonny lass. Lily. In loving memory of Cayenne. Daisy. Loki. Stephen. Roxanne. Aztec. Caroline the cat and Madly the rat. Anubis. Tawny.
For all of our animal companions who have served us so well, I light this candle. In honor of our companions who have served us in the past, I offer this blessing by Gary Kowalski. We give thanks for the animals who live close to nature, who remind us of the sanctities of birth and death, who do not trouble their lives with foreboding or grief, who let go each moment as it passes and accept each new one as it comes with serenity and grace. Enable us to walk in beauty as they do, at one with the turning seasons, welcoming the sunrise and at peace with the sunset. And as we hallow the memory of good friends now departed, who loved abundantly and in their time were loved, who freely gave us their affection and loyalty, let us not be anxious for tomorrow, but ask only that kindness and gratitude fill our hearts, day by day, into the passing years. And now it is time to celebrate and bless our animal companions who are with us today. You can bring your device to your pet or pets, or bring them to your device. And while you do that, I'm going to station myself at a different device so I can see you and your beloved pets more clearly. Oh, I see you all. You're beautiful. So those of you who have pets, look at them all. Oh, just take a moment to look at your gallery and see all these lovely, lovely, beloved animals. I invite you to each offer a blessing to your pet that I will offer aloud and will also be posted in the chat box. And I see that Aaron's cat is under the bed right now, but we can still bless your cat, Aaron. It travels. So the first instruction is to say the name of your pet. So I don't have Layla here right now, but because that would be crazy. Layla, may you live a happy and blessed life in the shelter of our home and heart. May there be food in your belly, a warm place to sleep, and joy in your days. Offer that blessing to your pet using the words that are in the chat, and I'll say them again too. May you live a happy and blessed life in the shelter of our home and heart. May there be food in your belly, a warm place to sleep, and joy in your days. And lastly, we offer a blessing for all our animal friends with these words from L. Annie Forrester, adapted. My furry, feathered, and scaled friends, I greet you. You come from the same life force of creation that I do, and I greet you as a sibling. May your days be filled with love and whatever else you may desire. May your tummy always be full, and may you always have a place to rest. May you have many days of love with your human friends. May you play together and work together in gentleness and respect for one another. My furry, feathered, and scaled friends, I say farewell. I am happy to have met you. May your life be blessed. And now let us sing together. We celebrate the Web of Life by Alicia S. Carpenter and Melchior Vulpius.
Good morning. This is an excerpt from Chapter 7 of Parker Palmer's book, A Hidden Wholeness. Storytelling has always been at the heart of being human because it serves some of our most basic needs: passing along our traditions, confessing failings, healing wounds, engendering hope, strengthening our sense of community. But in our culture of invasion and evasion, this time-honored practice cannot be taken for granted. It must be supported in special settings and protected with strong ground rules. Because our stories make us vulnerable to being fixed, exploited, dismissed, or ignored, we have learned to tell them guardedly or not at all. Neighbors, co-workers, and even family members can live side by side for years without learning much about each other's lives. As a result, we lose something of great value. For the more we know about another's story, the harder it is to hate or harm that person. Instead of telling our vulnerable stories, we seek safety in abstractions, speaking to each other about our opinions, ideas, and beliefs, rather than about our lives. Academic culture blesses this practice by insisting that the more abstract our speech, the more likely we are to touch the universal truths that unite us. But what happens is exactly the reverse. As our discourse becomes more abstract, the less connected we feel. There is less sense of community among intellectuals than in the most primitive societies of storytellers. I learned something about the connection between storytelling and community while sitting in a Quaker meeting for worship, a communal silence out of which people occasionally speak. I listened as one man grieved the recent death of his best friend, telling a moving story about an experience the two of them had shared. I did not know this man or his friend. The story he told took me deep into my own life. It brought my own friends to mind and reminded me of how precious they are and of how important it is that I let them know of that fact. After 10 or 15 minutes of silence, another person spoke, describing with uncanny accuracy what had happened within me as I listened to the first person speak. We believe that we will find shared truth by going up into big ideas, she said. But it is only when we go down, drawing deep from the well of personal experience, that we tap into the living water that supplies all of our lives.
Thank you, Dan. And for all of you, I can't recommend highly enough Parker Palmer's book, A Hidden Wholeness, in which he describes trust circles. And I'll mention those a little bit later, but it's a really powerful story of the art of listening and the power in listening. So today I want to talk about the listening companion. And it's a great day for the pet blessing and this conversation because pets can be just the best listeners. Several years ago in 2013, my mother, who was living in Virginia, her dementia became such that she really couldn't safely live at home anymore. And so we moved her here to Georgia to an assisted living facility. And within about 2 weeks, I could see that I was going to need another pair of ears to listen to all of the frustration and tension and anxiety and all that was going on for me as her primary caregiver. And so Bonnie Lass of Waterton came into our lives, and she was the best companion for that time in my life. And even though my husband Russ is a great listener and was a great support through that time, there's nothing like being able to talk with an animal who just listens. They don't give advice. They don't go there, you'll be okay. There's no fixing. There's no story swapping, no abstractions or data or opinions or academic rationalizations. Bonnie would just listen and let me pet her. And then I'd get that nice dose of oxytocin and I'd feel better. So, and she did too. Pets are sort of the prime example of a companion in so many ways and offer a lot of lessons for us humans in how we can be really good companions with one another. How important it is for us to practice our listening and also practice our storytelling, to be able to not just share what we believe, but to share what has happened in our lives. What are the stories of our lives that led us to have to believe what we believe, to know it in our heart and soul, because it's a story within us. Many times we come to conversations with ego where we're listening with, how does this relate to me? How can I be a part of this story? We may not even be aware we're doing that. But we also come with compassion. We care often about the person we're listening to, and we hate to hear them suffering. So we start coming up with ideas of how we could fix this, or what they could do better, or how they could be saved from whatever it is that's troubling them. And that's not really what the person who's speaking needs. We are often more focused on our needs, our discomfort maybe, that we need to be able to do something because I'm uncomfortable with this person's suffering or challenge. And to just be able to breathe into that, notice that discomfort, let it be. What we can do when we're listening with someone who is offering something of the depth of their soul is to ask some open questions maybe. Is there more you want to say about that? Is there anything else that comes up for you as you share this? What did that mean for you when that happened? These are the stories that can connect. When we get in, as Parker Palmer says, when we get into abstractions and data and opinions and academics, we might think that we're all in agreement because everybody in the room is sort of nodding. Maybe people are nodding who really just don't want to argue about the points, or they think they won't fit in or belong if they say, that's not how I see it. We assume agreement too often in our groups of friends and circles of conversation. And this assuming agreement can actually shut people down and shut down the heart connection and cause strife in people's life and in our relationships. Often when we're listening to someone, we assume similar cultural perspectives. I'm reminded of a family member who emigrated here from Haiti, and as a young adult had to learn a lot about our culture, and actually sat down and watched a whole bunch of TV shows that were recommended because it was such a part of the generation of the person that she was dating. And so to understand his world, she had to watch all these shows that said who he was, what was part of his formation. And I'm sure each of you could relate to that. There's probably things that you were involved in as a young person in your formative years that are cultural, that someone who didn't grow up in your location or your environment would not have those stories or those same relations. We need to learn another's truth. And in that, we can discover our own, but in the moment, we're making space for their truth when we're really companioning and listening. Knowing another's stories makes it harder to hate or harm them, as Parker Palmer said, and it's easier to be compassionate. I found this so true in my life, and especially with some places that's been really hard. And I'm going to walk on a line here very carefully. Back when George W. Bush was president, I did not really agree with a lot of his policies. Some of you may, and that's fine. Not arguing politics here. Just noticing that I was having trouble relating to him as a human being because I was so caught up in the policies and his opinions and his way of serving this country. And then I saw a photo of him sitting on a couch, kind of disheveled, looking a little tired, but also looking really joyful, holding his 2 infant baby girls. And my heart broke open. I could relate with that picture. It was just 36 years ago yesterday that I was holding a newborn baby in my arms. And I knew the joy and was soon to learn the exhaustion, the disheveledness, and all of that. So he became more human to me in that photo. I have struggled likewise with our current president. And I didn't go watch the debate. I did not expect to learn anything. And from what I've learned afterwards and the clips I've seen, I think that's true. Instead, I watched the Frontline episode, Election 2020. And this goes deep into the stories of both of our candidates for president, from their earliest childhood to where they are today. It was really powerful for me. I learned about both of our candidates and their upbringing. I learned that Donald Trump's mother had a very, very serious illness when he was just 2 years old. And it was quite a long time without having her in his life. He did not build the bonds with his mother that are so important to young children at that age. It goes through the rest of his life and the various things that happened to him in his life and the influences. And I learned more about him, but that story about his mother is the one that opened my heart. I still don't agree with his policies. I'm very upset about many of the behaviors that have been accurately and proven of the way he's treated women and so forth. Don't like that. But I saw his humanity in that story. And I saw the humanity of Joe Biden in that story. And it helped me to see both of these men as not just people on a screen saying the things they say and making the policies that they make, but to really see them as human. Stories break our hearts open if we are listening and open. This congregation is committed to radical welcome. And it's really important that we get that there are cultural differences for everyone who comes into our spaces. Not everyone grew up in the places or the environments or the situations that I grew up in or you grew up in. Everyone comes with their stories of their lives. People come from all different experiences and cultural norms. So if we invite people in and then whoever is greeting them thinks that they're going to be just like them, we've already missed their uniqueness. We have a tendency to say, oh, all humans are the same. We all love, we all ache, we all suffer. And there is some truth in that. But our experiences of love and pain and suffering are different. And they can be different based on our identities, based on our genders, based on our ethnicity. And we need to be able to listen without and try to move our filters out of the way. The filters that try to lay upon this person our own understanding of life, but to lift that veil and see them for who they are and hear their stories so we can understand their experiences and help us to understand who they are and why they see the world the way they do. Listening can be very uncomfortable. I've been in listening sessions where people shared hard stories of racism, microaggressions, transphobia, and it's hard to hear those, especially if I'm involved in some way in causing that harm. I've learned I have to sit with that discomfort, take it as a time to learn and to grow and to do better the next time I have an opportunity to be in those spaces where I have to be lifting that veil and moving away those filters and seeing the person for who they are. In our congregation, small groups help us to do this. We have a small group ministry where we connect deeply, where we practice silence. And it is in that silence, from that stillness, that a voice arises. Our Soul Matters team reminds us to listen with new ears, a whisper of something inside that seems to have known us longer than we've known it is wanting to emerge and be heard. Come, let's listen together. A few years ago, we had a companioning circle that met monthly at UU Gwinnett, similar to covenant groups, but with elements of what Parker Palmer calls trust circles. At each of our monthly gatherings, we had a ritual of reading the companioning tenets at the beginning of our time together. And I offer this ritual of reading the tenets and lighting a candle to prepare us for a time of sharing in small groups. Each of the 11 tenets begins with a sentence describing what companioning is, followed by a sentence describing what companioning is not. After this ritual, you will be invited to join a breakout group for 15 minutes to experience a taste of companioning or to share a story of companioning, share an experience of being heard or companioned through a difficult time in your life. And you may pass if you are not comfortable sharing at this time. And I will invite you when you're in your small group to begin with silence and allow the space to call someone into sharing when they are ready. This is a listening practice, and it may not be that everyone will have time to share. There will be 3 or 4 households in each group, and I ask you to please accept the invitation to join a group. Please. And now for our companioning tenet ritual before we break into groups. Listen for something that sparks the memory of a companioning experience from your life. Companioning is about honoring the spirit. It is not about focusing on the intellect. Companioning is about curiosity. It is not about expertise. Companioning is about learning from others. It is not about teaching them. Companioning is about walking alongside. It is not about leading or being led. Companioning is about being still. It is not about frantic movement forward. Companioning is about discovering the gift of sacred silence. It is not about filling every painful moment with talk. Companioning is about listening with the heart. It is not about analyzing with the head. Companioning is about bearing witness to the struggle of others. It is not about judging or directing those struggles. Companioning is about being present to another person's pain. It is not about taking away or relieving the pain. Companioning is about respecting disorder and confusion. It is not about imposing order and logic. Companioning is about going to the wilderness of the soul with another human being. It is not about thinking you are responsible for finding the way out. In a moment, you'll see the instructions and you'll be invited into a breakout group. Please accept the invitation. Share an experience of being heard or companioned through a difficult time in your life. Welcome back. Let us respond to all that was shared and all that was held in the sanctuary of the heart by singing together Spirit of Life by Carolyn McDade. For our members and friends, this is the time of year we ask for a commitment of financial support for our 2021 fiscal year. Pledge forms were mailed at the end of August, and there's a link on the homepage of our website to complete a form online. So far, we've received confirmed pledges over 104,000. Thank you. And we anticipate about another 27,000 from people who have been giving regularly for several years. And that would take us to about 131. And our goal is pretty ambitious, about 160,000. So as usual, we're looking for that miracle, and it usually happens. For if you haven't yet completed a form, please consider offering an extra generous level of support this year, or if you're able to reconsider what you've already submitted to give more, that's fine too. We have an ambitious set of priorities for next year to build up our reserves for building repairs and landscaping, and to improve our justice and outreach programs. So hope that you will give generously. I invite Lisa Keel now to offer a reflection from her heart about what this congregation means to her.
Home is the place where, when you have to go there, they have to take you in. Robert Frost. I used to chuckle at this quote until I lived a longer life, and I saw so many excluded from their family homes, their communities of faith, their circles of friends. And then I began to realize that home should be a place where, when you have to go there, they want to take you in. They're happy to take you in. In less than 2 years, I have come to see UUCG as a home where I have been lovingly taken in. I came here grieving, lonely, and unable to connect to my community of faith. I didn't know what to expect from this church. I had never attended a Unitarian Universalist church ever, even though I had been in about every other kind of church in America. You see, I had a long history of quietly not fitting in different churches. So I didn't have a great deal of faith that I would fit in here any better than I fit in anywhere. But this community surprised me. Fitting in wasn't required. This was a great gift to me. Over time, as I was taken care of in this home I had found, I began to want to give a little back to the community that was sustaining me. I had little confidence in myself at this point, but I responded to Reverend Jan's requests and started to volunteer helping with our amazing children. I began attending covenant groups that I now help to facilitate. And I pledge a bit of my money to support the running of our home that seeks to radically welcome all. Practically, I started pledging because I understood that our community must have a budget. We have operating costs. We have financial commitments we must meet. And being raised in the Southern Baptist Church, I have a background of seeing tithing as a responsibility. Yep, those voices are still loud in my head. But the real reason I filled out the first pledge form is because I needed this community. Now I care about the values of this community. I want to see this home survive and thrive because I know there are others who need a home with open doors.
Thank you, Lisa. That was just beautiful. Our congregation is committed to being that radically welcoming home for so many and to creating a more compassionate world. And to this end, each quarter we split our plate collection with an organization selected by our Giveaway the Plate committee from those nominated by people in the congregation. So please nominate an organization. We are beginning our fourth quarter plate collection today with a new recipient, New Life Technology Group. Located in Alpharetta, Georgia, New Life Technology Group has a mission to help our planet by reducing e-waste and support our community through their Computers for Kids program. They do this by recycling, refurbishing, and redistributing electronic waste. They work with businesses, schools, faith communities, nonprofits, and neighborhoods to help keep electronics out of the landfills and donate them back to the community. Through the power of our donations, they are able to transform our community and the world around us towards a cleaner, greener, and more hopeful future. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry and vision of this congregation. So I ask that you please give generously to support the work of this important ministry in our wider community, as well as the vision and mission of our congregation. As we listen to a recording of our pianist Brian Bishop playing Pillow Dance by Bella Bartok, you will see on the screen ways to contribute to our offering via PayPal, Venmo, or by mailing a check payable to UUCG to the address shown. If you are worshiping with us for the first time, please know that your presence here today with us is a great gift to this congregation, and you may choose to let the plate pass. The offering will now be gratefully received. May the generous gifts received today and this week move us towards fulfilling our vision of a more connected and compassionate world. And I'll fix that slide for next week. It's not the last collection, it's the first collection for this quarter. And now I want to just offer my gratitude to Dan Kelly and Lisa Keel for taking part in this service, and as always to Christiana McQuain for managing our Zoom space, and for Russ Taddeo for managing our, did I say Christiana McQuain, right? Yes, okay. Russ Taddeo for managing our video and audio. Thank you. Now is the time for our call to connection. Please seek ways to connect during the week so that we can continue to be strong and welcoming. If you are, it's not working. Can you advance the slide, please? Text welcoming to the number on the screen if you're new to our community, and you'll receive a few texts and emails. Won't last long, just for a few weeks, to guide you in connecting with our congregation. You can get more information about what's coming up by signing up for our e-news at info@uucg.org, to email that address to request to be on our mailing list. And you can go to our website and click on register for events to get connected with what's happening. And our newcomers are invited to a UU 101 visitor orientation program on the third Sunday of each month. Next one is on October 18th. And also those who have been to 101 and are wanting to know more about the path to membership can come to our 102 program on that same day. You can register online. Please register so we know you're coming. Please donate platelets if you can. A member of our congregation, Terry Welsher, is battling leukemia and needs several bags of platelets per day. Tell them you're donating to Team Terry so he gets prizes for our donations. And you can sign up at atlantabloodservices.com. Also, invite you to sign up to support voter registration, voter education, and efforts to get people to the polls in November with our nonpartisan UU the Vote campaign. Go to uuthevote.org to learn more. On Sundays at 12:30, we have our religious exploration program for elementary age children and their families, exploring UU values through the short films of Pixar animation. You need to register for religious education in order to take part in this, to get the link to the program, and to get the materials for the second Sundays when Ari is at home, or sometime during that week. So please register on our website. There's a link at the bottom of the homepage to register for religious exploration. Our adult program next Sunday at 10 o'clock is Dream Work, based on the work of Jeremy Taylor, facilitated by Thomas Yun. Yarns from the Heart meets this Wednesday at 10. This is a gathering of people who knit and crochet and do other fabric work, and they just hang out. And what did I see in the message this week? Yarn and yak, something like that. So come and join them for some social time. And on Wednesday, I'm exploring spiritual practices at 2 o'clock. We started learning a new form of meditation last week, and we'll continue that this week, practicing it for a little bit longer, and start to expand our explorations over the next few weeks. And virtual happy hour is on Thursdays from 6 to 8. Please join us for that more casual gathering. And check our e-news. That is not the current book. I was supposed to update it and I forgot. So that is in the newsletter that came out. It's available on our website. That information is there. So go look up the book for this month and check it out, and look at all the other ways to connect. Big event coming. We're going to have a party. Yay! Stone Soup celebration next Saturday, October 10th at 6 o'clock. Make your own stone soup. Everybody should have received a stone and the recipe for stone soup. If you didn't, please send me an email and let me know, and we'll make sure we get one to you before Saturday. So we're going to invite you to make your own stone soup or whatever you like to make. And we'll gather on Zoom, gather at our dining tables, and have conversation and a meal together, and a celebration of our congregation, and conversations about the future priorities for our congregation. So it'll be a really good gathering. It'll be so good to see everyone's faces. Please come. If you need coffee, cocoa, or chocolate, our store has been restocked. Please send a text equal to that phone number, and we'll get in touch with you and bring you what you need for coffee, cocoa, or chocolate. And also encourage you, if you don't already use Amazon Smile somewhere else, or you're willing to change, please designate Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett for Amazon Smiles credits. It really helps us. Thank you. And now I invite you to rise in spirit as we say together the words we say as we extinguish our chalices, and followed by our closing song, Come Sing a Song with Me by Carolyn McDade. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our service has ended, and now our service to one another and the world begins. Please continue to take precautions during this pandemic. Please wash your hands, wear your mask, keep your distance. maintain your bubbles that you've created. And we're running a little late today, so we're not going to do our breakout groups. So we'll gather in the main room just to look into one another's eyes and hear a few stories from one another and check in as we are able. Love you all so much. Have a great week, and I'll see you Saturday night, and then I'll see you Sunday morning. Be well, beloveds.